Okay, I'm gonna compete with the cicadas here. There's a lot of background noise. Once every 17 years, they have this return, or this symphony orchestra. So that's what you're hearing in the background. So I'll try to talk loud enough to overcome them. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to 2017 when I purchased this. I was looking for a bike to improve my off-road riding. And I was looking at smaller displacement Hondas, Honda Dual Sports, Honda off-road bikes that could be dual sported with a light kit. And I started doing more and more research, and I stumbled across this company down in Utah by Pitster Pro GPX. And essentially what they're doing is they are developing motorcycles that Honda should be developing. For example, this right here, this Pitster Pro, now known as the GPX XTR 250, is essentially a modern XR 250. It's a modern CRF 230. The engine is nearly identical to the Honda CRF 230 engine. However, Honda stopped developing their Honda XR line, and Honda also discontinued their CRF 230. So what GPX and Pitster Pro did, and by the way, this is the last year, 2017 was the last year they put Pitster Pro graphics on this bike. 2018 and beyond, they switched all of their larger displacement bikes that are essentially 200cc and above. They're now GPX. And their Pitster Pro bikes, that label is reserved for their pit bikes, for their like 150s and below, essentially. So this bike right here is a modern XR 250 or a modern CRF 230. It's lighter, it has a way better suspension, it has electric start, it has a kick start. The engine has a 5-speed tranny instead of the 6-speed that was on the Honda CRF 230. But guys that have tore this engine down, they say it's nearly identical to the Honda CRF 230. It's a 233cc engine. You have upside down forks, you have an adjustable rear shock. It comes stock with a rear rack. It comes stock fully street legal. You have the full light kit on it. You have the turn signals, you have the high beam, the low beam. There's a cicada on me right there. So you have everything you need to go to get it plated right off the bat, even a license plate light. The bike came to me in a crate, so I had it delivered. I got a smoking deal. They gave me a military discount. Great guys. This was the first bike I purchased from the company. They were liquidating these at the time back in 2017. This was way back before the market was red hot. And they actually sold this to me for, I'll just tell you, less than $3,000 shipped to my house in a crate, ready to go. So this was the first bike I purchased from them. Since then, I bought two more. I bought a two-stroke from them, a 230cc two-stroke that uses a Yamaha and a KTM frame, a Yamaha two-stroke dual sport engine and a KTM frame. And I also got my daughter a 90cc pit bike. So this bike made me a believer. It has 700 hard miles on it. I've done the Shenandoah 500 dual sport ride in Virginia. I did the Devil's Creek dual sport ride down in Florida with Dixie Dual Sports. So I only have 700 miles, but they're relatively hard miles. A lot of dirt road, gravel road, and country riding. It's held up very well. It has essentially Honda reliability. And I plan to do a lot more riding with this bike. I've done a few mods. So obviously handguards, wraparound are absolutely essential. Rocky Mountain ATV is my go-to. The Tusk products, they're solid, they're affordable. So I went with the Tusk handguards, wraparound, great set. Now for this windscreen here, that my buddy fabricated this for me. Essentially this windscreen was off my wife's BMW G650 GS. I put a taller windscreen on that bike. So this is the short windscreen that came stock on that bike. That's why it has GS on it. Another modification is I don't have it on the bike now, but I did put a tank bag on. Buddy that is a bike builder, he does trikes. He turns essentially gold wings into trikes and sidecars, so he's a master fabricator. So these are, well, first of all, this rack right here is stock. Now I had everything powder coated blue as a project for this and a couple other bikes, but this is a stock rear rack. So what I did is two improvements to the stock rear rack. I added this side rack, and this side rack, believe it or not, I think it's from like a Yamaha MT-09. And I just bought this because it was on clearance, and it looked like my buddy could somehow get it attached so that I could put saddlebags on if I wanted to put side bags on. And then what I wanted to do is expand the real estate up here on this top rack and make it wider. and get just more area up here for luggage. So I had him fabricate this extra top rack I had laying around. I had him use hose clamps and these 2 bolts to secure this expansion plate. Essentially what it is, it's an expansion plate on the existing stock rear rack. So I did this. Also the seat. Normally it comes with a seat it's one of the weak points of the bike, I will admit that, is the stock seat is rock hard, uncomfortable. So what I did, and it had a black cover on it, so I decided to, I found a guy local to me in the Lynchburg area that works out of his garage. He does a lot of boat seats and small outboard engines. And he said, yeah, I can do a couple bike seats for you, no problem, very reasonable prices. I took him the material. I had him shave down the stock foam, and I had gel pads put in. I bought some gel pads. I think they're 2 centimeter thick gel pads from eBay. And I had him put those gel pads in here, and then he used the existing cover as a template, and I got this seat. And then I just had him throw on a couple extra patches that I had lying around. I threw a couple small LED lights on the front of the bike. Light is another weak spot. The stock headlight is not going to give you a whole lot. I mean, it's not an LED, it's not the brightest. So to add a little extra visibility, I actually pulled these 2 small LED lights off the Honda CRF 250L Rally that I bought, and the guy had those on there, so I pulled them off, and I'm going to put different lights on that bike. Looks like I got a little moisture there, even in the turn signal. So the other weak point of the bike, I'll admit, which is going to be remedied here by the expert mechanic here, clutch has a very tight pull. My buddy here, he commented on that right away, and I had a feeling he was going to mention it. So when I got it here, I had him ride it. Sure enough, he gave the same feedback that anybody else would give. The clutch pull, it's unacceptable. So a lot of guys, some guys that own this bike, on ADV Rider, there's a very long thread on this bike. They will put a hydraulic clutch on it from eBay, and it just transforms the clutch because this clutch pull is way too tight. But you see, you have the instrument cluster. It comes stock with the mirrors. As you can see right here, you have, I mean, the pegs are decent size. The stock exhaust sounds great. I can fire it up if they want to hear it. Yeah, let's fire it up. The stock exhaust sounds good. Fuel's on. It may not even need to be choked right now. Kickstart is solid. Fires right up. Honda reliability. Chokes off. Yeah, it's carbureted, air-cooled, very simplistic bike. Now, yes, it does come with a fender, and I snapped that off riding the Dixie Dual Sport event. Of course, in the sand, I dropped the bike in the sand, and I lost the entire rear fender along with the plate. I didn't even realize it until I got back to the campsite. So it's just completely lost plate. I got to get a new plate for it. If it sips gas, I mean, I do have fuel bottles as well. I've considered running the TAT with this bike, which is why you see these luggage modifications, because I really foresee this possibly carrying saddlebags, a top bag, a tank bag, and I could theoretically see this running the TAT. So let me just tell you what GPX does. GPX essentially will cobble together a bike that the big four, the Japanese manufacturers, will not put together. So they took the CRF 230 engine, and like I said, it has a 5-speed transmission instead of the 6. Now the Honda CRF 230, that was discontinued years ago, but it had a 6-speed tranny. This has a 5. Also, the Honda CRF 230 did not have a kickstart. They did put a kickstart on here. It was another selling point for me. There are very numerous selling points, but that kickstart backup was just one of them. However, there's a minor design flaw. In order to kick this bike over, you have to actually fold this, and there's tension here to keep this foot peg out of the way. And without that, you're not going to be able to kickstart the bike. Improvement I'm going to make for my riding, it has a 41 tooth rear sprocket, I believe it is, and I want to gear it lower to a 36 or 38 tooth. It's geared low, and I think a lot of people want to gear that low for off-road riding. First gear for me, it's almost unusable. I want to dual sport this bike. I'm a dual sport rider. I'm not a trials rider. I'm not a hard enduro rider. That's not what I do. I am a pure dual sport rider, so I want this thing to be able to run the roads better than what it's doing, and the gearing is just too low. First gear is almost unusable. So you're really limited with the front sprocket. If you go too big, you won't be able to get the cover on. It has a nice instrument cluster. You have an analog tack, but you have a gear indicator, you have a battery indicator, you have a speedometer, of course, and then your odometer and tripometer. So, I mean, it has a nice combination instrument cluster here that I think works really well. I also like small features like this, that you actually have the ability to switch off the headlight, because you don't need to run the headlight if you're running this bike in the woods or wherever else. So you can go from high beam, low beam to switching off the headlight completely. Horn works. I mean, this thing, the brakes are fine. They work. They're satisfactory. So, I mean, overall, I have no major complaints. You need to tinker with it a little bit. When the bike arrived in a crate, my buddy and I built it up. We had to clean the carb. The carb had a couple of plastic specks in it from the tank. So these are bikes for people that willing to tinker with them a little bit, because you're building it from the crate. But I think that's something unique, because Honda will never ship you a bike to your front door in a crate. GPX Pitster Pro in Utah will develop a bike that they believe is going to appeal to American customers. So the companies, when I've seen videos on this in Russian or Spanish or Portuguese down in South America, their bikes are, I would say 80–90% of the DNA is the same. They've changed them slightly for those markets. And essentially those companies in Russia and South America are tweaking the bike and telling the Chinese factory, we want to go with these components or this design. Essentially that's what GPX does. Pitster Pro GPX will go and say, we want to build this bike, we want to use this frame, this engine, these shocks. And that's how they were able to build what essentially is a modern XR250, a modern Honda CRF 230. Why buy an old, outdated Honda CRF 230 or an old Honda XR250 when you can get one of these? I believe they're around $3,000 now, shipped to your door in a crate. Or there's more and more dealers all the time for these bikes. I believe there's a dealer in Perrysburg, Virginia. It's called Gearhead Junction, I want to say. It's in Perrysburg, Virginia. I just found out about them, that they're selling GPX and Pitster bikes as well. So my name's Glenn. This is my 2017 GPX or Pitster Pro XTR 250. And I appreciate you watching this review. And I encourage you to look more closely at this bike if you're considering an off-road, a dual sport machine that's going to fit your riding profile.